Hello everyone, this is DZ Maven here with another Gunpla review. Hope y'all had a Merry Christmas and hope y'all got everything you needed, including more Gunpla. I picked up one for myself because my family usually doesn't get me any, but I got my something to work on for the past few days because I really wanted to work on something, and I picked up the Gundam X, the Master Grade version. So you probably saw my unboxing video, you probably know about that already. And I kind of went over the part runners and some of the other things already with this kit here. So this is still a relatively new kit. It came out in 2015, so it's only probably a little over a year old, I'd say. But anyway, it's my first Gundam X kit I've ever built, so and I feel pretty impressed with it. So anyway, here it is. I have it kind of in the this is the Seed pose, the Ale Strike Gundam pose. I have it up on that stand I had left over from the Master Grade Thunderbolt Gundam, and it actually works pretty well on this stand. So I'm probably going to keep it on here for display. Still kind of leans a little bit. That's just because of the stand itself. Like I said, it's really not that great a stand, but I'm probably better having the Double X on here rather than the Full Armor Gundam, because the Full Armor Gundam is a really heavy kit, and this thing kind of tends to lean a little bit. But anyway, it's better on here, so a lot better than trying to stand this kit up, which is probably the first thing I will mention. Obviously, this is a very back-heavy kit. There is a lot of stuff on the back, as you can see. They got the 2 satellite cannons, and you have the big reflector panels on the back. So I'm going to probably do this review kind of in 2 parts here. I think that'll probably be the easiest way for me to do this here. This way I don't have to finagle with it so much. So first part, I'm going to talk about just the basic unit, the basic Gundam itself here, and then the second part, which I'll cut to, I'll talk about the satellite cannon and the transformation and everything for that. So I'm going to cut and take a quick break. I'm going to cut back here in just a moment here. Hold on. Okay, and I'm back here. As you can see, I took the satellite cannons and the reflectors off because I figured this will be a little easier for me to handle while I talk about the posability and some of the things on the mobile suit itself here. So let's get you a close-up look at it here. As I mentioned before in the unboxing, some of these dark blue, black parts are kind of in a matte finish. They're not glossy. They're not the glossy finish like you see on the plastic normally. So there is a little bit of a tonality difference on this kit, but it's kind of hard to notice when it's all put together and everything here. So overall, I think detail-wise, it's pretty nice and balanced overall. I mean, it's not heavily detailed like a real grade would be, but it's not plain looking like a high-grade kit would be. The original high-grade 1/100 kit of the Double X was like insanely detailed, probably over-detailed with panel lines and everything. So it was kind of a bit of a clusterfuck of panel lines, really. But this is a lot more toned down and balanced in my opinion. So it looks a lot better here. As always, I mean, if you're an experienced model, you can always scribe in more panel lines if you want here. So I'm going to talk about the articulation a little bit here. Let's look at the head here real quick. As you can see, it's got those little whisker things, but thankfully they don't really get in the way, so the head can turn around, and the neck's got a little bit of range of motion. You can look up pretty decently and look down some here. Arms, he can rotate around, but the shoulder pads do kind of they contact this attachment point for the satellite cannon system, so it kind of rubs against that. Arms, you do get a really good bend out of, more than 90 degrees, which is great. It can rotate around, obviously. It's a little loose this way, but it's not bad. I mean, you're not have to worry about too much. The hands, oops, well, yeah, this came apart there. The hands are these swappable hands. I have it on the open palm on this hand here. The thumb is on a movable ball joint, and of course the hand has got a decent range of motion, I'd say. My opinion on the swappable hands is kind of mixed here. aesthetically they do look better, but in terms of working with them, they are kind of a little bit of a pain in the ass here. Because you always have to kind of swap them out. It's a little hard to do in the Gundam X too for some reason. I mean, you pull the hand out, I try and get it back in, and I end up sliding the arm cover off in the process while I'm doing that. So it's, and popping the little ankle collar off too in the process. So it's a kind of a pain in the ass to swap these things out, especially when trying to put the weapons on. One thing I usually worry about is the little thumb here on the ball joint. I'm always worried I'm going to end up snapping that off while I'm trying to put the weapons on. It's a small concern of mine, but I guess as long as you're careful, you won't have to worry about it too much here. Moving on down, talk about the waist here. I don't know if you followed me on Twitter, but I kind of mentioned here that a lot of people complain about this kit being very back heavy and flopping over backwards a lot. Now, it's partly true, but there's also a little more to this here. Right now, the back is kind of locked on this right now, so it's not going to move around too much here. Contrary to what some people have said, there actually is a lock on this back, but it's internal, it's not external. The back mechanism in here kind of works like a accordion almost. You have to compress it to lock it, and in order to make it move again, you have to kind of pull it out and extend it. That way the upper torso can move around again. I think the problem is a lot of people are leaving it stretched out, so the Gundam keeps flopping back like that. But if you press down on it, it should stiffen up. And right there's the other concern, which I think is a bigger deal for me. But anyway, as you can see, press down on it, it doesn't move anymore. So pop that leg back on. I guess I'll talk about this right now. I think my bigger issue with this kit, rather than the back heaviness, is these legs. These legs keep falling off all the time on me. As you can see in there, it's only a poly cap and a socket that's holding these legs in. It's kind of a primitive system, really. These legs don't like to stay in, especially when I'm posing them. They keep falling out all the time. That's just kind of annoying. Skirt armor, you can flip all the way up like that, pretty good. Side skirt armor, flip up and around about that far, pretty good. In addition, this the beam sword holder can bend around like this here, like that. Back skirt armor can lift a little bit like that. There's a little bit of range of motion on these thruster bellows, but it's not very much here. And these satellite cannon holder things, they can move around a little bit here. Not too much here, but like that. That's kind of it. And as for the bend at the legs, they can bend up like that, and bend back about that far. Bend at the knee is more of a 9 degrees. Actually, very nice bends in the leg. Bends about that far here. The knee opens up nicely. Foot can bend back about that far, and bend forward about that much here. It's a double jointed foot, double jointed ankle too as well. These ankle armor is connected directly to the ankle here on the front side, I believe. It doesn't move around too much, but it doesn't really get in the way too much either. And as for the splits, it can bend up that far, and of course rotate around if need be. Now there's a few opening hatches on this thing. First, obviously, is going to be the cockpit hatch, which is a little hard to get. May have to get my tool here. And there we go, the leg fell off. There, the leg fell off. Darn these legs. I guess it's better than them breaking, but it is kind of annoying here. Use my little tool here to get this open here. You have to kind of reach under there and grab it. There we go. There we go. Cockpit hatch opens up like so. And I did put the Garad Ran figure in there and tried to detail it up a little bit. It's probably really hard to see here. There he is. Kind of. You can see him a little bit. He's in there. And as you can see, I went ahead and painted silver underneath these satellite sensor activation relay sensors, whatever these are called. It's silver with some white in the in between the panels and everything, so that's a little bit of a nice effect there. In addition, I highlighted the Vulcan guns because they kind of blend into the torso here. And these little Vulcan piece things, these are all individual little pieces, and these are the tiniest parts on this kit, and they are very hard to handle. Especially when you're trying to clean the nubs off of them, they're like really hard to handle. If you can, get a toothpick and just kind of trim it down so it kind of slots into the front of it, and then that way you can kind of paint it or detail it or work on it if you need to, and then just stick it in. That's what I did with those. Last thing kind of mentioned on this kit, there are panels on the back of this. This here pops open to reveal a little peg hole. My light can see it. Here we go. In addition, there is also the one down here, which is harder to get to. Again, I need my tool to get to that. We got that. So you're probably wondering what these are for. I was wondering about that too. This is not for the beam rifle. I tried to put the beam rifle on here. It does not fit on here. So I don't really know what the purpose of this is. Likewise this, but if I had to guess, I would have to assume that maybe Bandai was assuming maybe someday they were going to make a Master Grade G Falcon for this. But I kind of doubt they ever will. So I guess they kind of planned ahead for that just in case, but I don't think the chances of that actually happening are very high. if it ever happens, it will probably be like a P Bandai thing or something like that. Other people have already tried out the high grade, the old high grade G Falcon, and that does not fit on this kit because the torso size is different from the old kit, so it won't actually fit on here. So you have a couple of peg holes on the back here, which I don't know what you can do with here. I don't know, maybe you could be creative and stick the O-riser on the back or something like that. But, yeah. Alright, so I'm going to talk about accessories here before we get to the satellite cannon stuff. You do get the shield, which is called a defense plate. It's kind of a weird shape, but it's okay, I guess. It comes on a little extension bracket, which is pretty handy here. Connects to the back of the arm. In addition, you do get the beam rifle here. Beam rifle's handle can fold up and it can actually stick on the back of the this extension here, back right here. So it's not the most convenient place to store the beam rifle, but I guess it's better than nothing. In addition, you can take the shield off and have it the XX hand hold the shield, but I find it doesn't work very well. So I would prefer just to kind of keep it on the little extension bracket here. I think it's a lot more secure that way. You also get the beam swords. They're on these side skirts. They just kind of come right off like that. Let me set him down for a second. Stay. And make sure to fall over while I'm doing this. You get these beam swords, and you get to grab the blade here. Some very nice blades that come with this. I like these blades. They are not the usual beam saber blades you get in most Master Grade kits. These are big. These are mean looking. I like them. They just kind of slot right into the ends of the beam. They're actually beam swords. The beam sword handle. And in order to get the hold, you have to kind of take this apart. Let's see. Yeah, it comes apart in two pieces like that, and then you have to kind of slot the hand into this slot here, and then put this back together around it, and then stick it on the hand. Get it back together like so. Yeah. And then you don't need it, you just gonna stick it back in, and it just goes right back on. Alright, so let me get the... Okay, one last thing before I get to the satellite cannon stuff. So let me show you the other opposable hands here. Grab them out of my baggie. Of course, you get the little open hand fingers. There's one open hand, like so. I'm not sure what you would use that for. And you do get a pair of these holding hands, but have a little peg inside of them for holding onto the weapons and the shield. You get 2 of those. And you do get your closed fist parts. You get 2 of those for each hand. And also you get your little Tifa figurine right there. So, alright, so I'm gonna put the satellite cannon. Well, actually, before I do that, let me just show you a few things about satellite cannon stuff before I stick it back on there. Straighten this foot out. Straighten your foot out. Come on. Straighten up. There we go. Alright, so you got the big reflector panel pieces. They open up like so. And then this little thing just kind of sticks in. So it's not complicated at all. The way this is put together, you get this mirror paper stuff that kind of goes inside of these reflector panels, and you have this clear yellow piece that kind of goes on top. Makes it look like a bicycle reflector, almost. It works. And for the satellite cannons, these are the cannons themselves. Not that complicated to build. They do have a little bit of articulation. You have to kind of slide them open like that, and then slide them open again like that, and they will move around a little bit. So let's clip back together here. So let me put these back on the Double X, and I'll show you the satellite cannon firing mode. Be back in a second here. Alright, and I'm back here, so I got the satellite cannon stuff back on there, and I went ahead and put it back on the action base because it'll just be easier for me to handle it while it's on the action base instead of trying to balance it constantly while I'm transforming it here. So, there's a few steps to this process here. First thing I kind of want to show you here is these little sensors pop out of the shoulders here. They are a little tricky to get to. They come out like so. I'm bumping my camera while I'm doing this, so pardon me on that. They come out like that. These are kind of on little ball joints. You have to kind of pull them up a little bit, but they got a little bit of movement to them, like so. So let's look at those here. So, now in the instruction manual, they kind of tell you to put these green stickers up on top of these things, which I would not recommend you do that because there are little lens details molded into the piece here. If you do that, you're going to end up hiding that and covering that up. So what I did was I kind of carefully cut some notches into the foil stickers and just kind of stuck them behind the green piece here, so that way they still have a bit of reflectivity to them, and you can see the details inside, which I think looks a lot better than putting the sticker on top of it. Speaking of the stickers, the foil stickers, I didn't really use most of them. The only one I really used was the eyes and the ones that go inside of here. The rest of the parts are actually clear green, so I just went ahead and left them as is. So I think it looks a little better that way. I usually like it better when the clear parts are molded in color like that. So I just think it looks a little better here. But so anyway, moving on from that, talk about the satellite cannons here. Funny thing I kind of noticed when I watched the Double X in action, on its transformation kind of begins sort of like this here, but obviously the model kit cannot actually do that because the satellite cannons end up hitting each other. It's kind of a small fail, I guess, but whatever. So, but instead you gotta kind of do it like that here. So, now to show before, you gotta extend these out. It's a little hard to do while it's on the stand here. Give me a second here. There we go. Here. Okay, so they're like that now. It's actually very tall, so it's kind of hard to get it into frame here. Just kind of bend those down. And these little sensors will just kind of fit around the slot here that kind of opened up. I have to finagle with it a little bit, knock the V-fin over. There we go. So we're already right now, it's starting to get kind of front heavy now. So the opposite problem. Stick the V-fin back on. think in this case I'm actually going to open the chest up and see if I can just get the bin back a little bit here. Here we go. This one on the right shoulder doesn't like to stay in place a lot. I don't know why. The one on the left kind of clips in better. Just something I've noticed. So anyway, the reflector panels. Oops. Yeah, I'll just let them fall back for a moment. Open these up. Like so. Get that in. They're the easier part to deal with here. So we're bend them back. Do that. Let's get you to lean back up again. There we go. Get these back in again. They don't really stay in there very well. They just sort of fall out again. Oh, come on. Get in there. There we go. Alright, and lastly you do have these panels that open up on the arms. Revealing those little gold pieces from I showed you earlier. And there you pretty much go. You can kind of give some adjustments to the satellite cannons depending on what angle you want them at. But yep. And as this defense plate kind of on a little extension, it pops out so it's not in the way of the panel opening up there. But anyway, there you go. There is the Gundam X in its full glory, firing off its twin satellite cannons as Garudwan would be, and blowing up very big things like islands and colonies and whatnot. There you go. So, overall opinion of this kit. I think it's a very good kit, actually. It was a little better than I expected it to be. It's still got a few flaws in it. I mean, obviously, it's a back-heavy kit, so you're going to have to keep that in mind. So, I would strongly recommend getting an action base for this kit if you really want to display it properly. Standing up on the ground, the legs are just not quite good enough to keep it balanced. You can try. You can balance it on the satellite cannons if you want, but that's really kind of not the way this kit was meant to be. So go ahead and get an action base and just get it up on one. It'll just look a lot better here. The back is really not as much of an issue as some people have made it out to be. You just kind of got to be aware that you can lock it down a little bit. My bigger problem with it is that the legs are falling off all the time on it. So, but I mean, other than that, it's a really great looking kit once you have it all done and complete. And I think you'll probably be quite happy with it if you actually decide to get this kit and go ahead and put it together. Even as a straight build, I think it's really good. So anyway, so that's kind of my opinion on this kit. I think it's pretty good. I'll give it a thumbs up. Excellent kit. So anyway, that'll probably be it for this, and hope you guys have a great Happy New Year, and I will probably see you in the next year. Alright, so have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.